We're back, Hearties. It's another When Calls the Heart after show from James Lott Jr. Serafini. It's episode 7. No, excuse me, season 7, episode 8. I'm James Lott Jr. and it's with Serafini.
Hello, Hearties. Here we are once again.
We are. Thanks to everybody who watched. We had close to 700 views last episode. I guess you really did miss us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Hearties.
Yes.
We go for a while, but we're still here.
We're here, and we try to figure this out, and we were going to do something in person and all this stuff, but we can't do that now. So we're doing this the best way we can, with the best Zoom quality that we can.
Thank you, technology.
So we're very excited to come back. This episode is called Into the Woods. Like, literally, they were in the woods. That was, like, not a metaphor for anything. It was for true. It was for real. But we are back, and we're going to talk about this episode. And first of all, Marisa, what did you think of the episode overall?
I liked it. It really, I love it when there's always kids around because it's either like super happy or super serious. And I felt like it leaned more on the serious side with the kids today. We got some emotions out of Nathan, which is good. We got a little bit more information on Gowen. So I think they just kind of tied or like hit a lot of different topics that we're still, loving to watch, but also at the end, we'll get to it.
Yes, I know. So I texted her, but she hadn't watched it yet, so I didn't want to give it away. But I was just like, tears were shed for me. I was like, So we will get to that, of course. I thought it was a great, interesting kind of transitional episode because we have 2 left, right? There's 2 left.
Yes.
So I feel like this is leading to the last 2 episodes. Like there's some stuff in the works to get there. And right, we saw some more Nathan and Elizabeth kind of coming together a little bit. They didn't come together completely, but there was some conversation, and I just got to get to know more about what's going on. But I will say I just see the chemistry between them. I do see it. It is there. So I'm glad we kind of got a balance out with that. But we'll talk about all that in a second. So let's first start out. I just want to start out with her. Apparently, I saw this online. I think Brian Bird said this. Shout out to Brian. When in the beginning, when Liz was writing in her journal and there's the voiceover, that she actually listens, they actually played the voiceover while she's sitting there writing in a journal.
Oh, yeah. I mean, good. They should.
Yeah, I forgot who said it. I want to say it was, I'm not sure if it's him or not, but somebody had said that there was some production note that she really does, that they actually played it while she was sitting there and she was writing stuff.
Yeah, well, it makes sense that they would have playback for the audio to hit the emotional beats right when they're supposed to.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's on the audio editing side to make sure the beats hit when they're supposed to the actor. Where if the audio, which is easier to record, not gonna lie, is already done, you do that, you play that first, and then have the actor work to the audio, not the other way around.
Yeah, that makes sense. But that's kind of close. It's kind of like a little behind the scenes stuff there. And they were posting a lot of behind the scenes stuff actually online. It was like almost.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's cool. It was kind of interesting. I like that. We all like that. And she really states. So the episode opens with her stating she's torn between both men. I thought that was interesting. She actually kind of says it to herself. She's torn between both of them.
Right, and I think that's also just the self-awareness of what the character is going through, and also just a nod and a wink to the Hearties and the listeners. Like, yes, we know. We know there's a love triangle. We know we wrote a very predictable love triangle, and this character is stuck between the two. So I think it's just an acknowledgement. It's like, yes, we know what's going on.
I like that. Now in the beginning, it's just kind of like a small thing, but kind of big, because they always have this problem. Lee and Rosemary at breakfast, and he got her a present, an anniversary present, which was a trip. Their trips things keep happening where they don't go on their trips.
Right. I mean, eventually they'll get their vacation.
Right. But this was a cruise. And I was like, I wrote this down because it was like, okay, they go to LA, and it's just like, okay, whatever. But there's like cruises to Chile, which I was like, oh, okay, Chile, Santiago, Chile, then to Rio, and it goes up to New York. I was like, wow, that's a bit. I know in real life that'd be a long, probably 2-week trip or something like that. But that's a long trip, isn't it?
Yeah, but also I think it just shows just like the bigger the trip, the bigger the effort it will take for them to get there.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it. But I think it was a big setup for those two, and I like it, because it's still giving them a goal for them to reach.
I agree. And then we cut into Lucas, the whole Lucas Gowen Bill thing. I thought was very interesting. He just went in and said, Gowen, what's going on, basically.
Mm-hmm.
He confronted him. I was just like, I want to see the books. And it was a standoff. And it was kind of like this whole thing about, well, I don't owe you the books. So you see the books. Well, I want to see the books. I'm just showing you the books. I want to see the books. And like they kind of went back and forth, and no one was budging.
Well, and I think this is good to Lucas because he is part ownership. He has it in written contract form, and it's just Gowen's being a jerk and not showing him the ledgers. So I think Lucas is completely in the right place to say, hey, I'm part of this business too. If something's up, I need to know. And so what's up on your end that you're not showing me?
But Gowen keeps playing that whole, like, you're not that big of a business partner.
Right, but it has to be something serious and big enough for Gowen to still keep giving pushback.
Yes, and Hickam, which Lucas called him Michael or Mike in the episode. I'm like, no, he's Hickam. I'm always going to say that. Sorry, I'm always going to say that.
Yeah.
But he had no money to pay, and that's how Lucas got a little more insight. He's not paying his people. But what's going on? And that leads him. Go ahead.
Well, sorry, not to cut you off, but
I love it. Go ahead.
Now it's because Gowen's not paying Hickam. Hickam now can't pay for Lucas's business. Like Lucas also has a business to run too, and so now it's coming like full circle and affecting Lucas in different ways. It raises enough questions like, what the heck is going on, Gowen?
And so he goes to Bill, who's the judge, among other things. He goes to Bill. And it's funny how I was really surprised that Lucas wants to go ahead and file the complaint stuff, but then he's kind of like, he didn't want to go that far because he's like, well, Gowen will be in contempt if he still doesn't give you the books and we go to jail. And so Lucas had like this kind of change of like, well, I still want to see the books and what's going on, but I don't want to go that far.
Right.
That was very interesting.
Sometimes you have to go that far. And you know what? Gowen has served time before. And honestly, you should have watched me when I was watching the episode. I was like, throw him back in jail. Come on. Because you know that Bill doesn't like Gowen. Yeah. And I think he was just being like the right judge. Be like, all right, if you really need to know what's going on, this is what has to happen to Gowen in order for you to get your answers. And I understand Lucas doesn't want it to get it dirty or just messy in that sense. But if Gowen has nothing to, hide, then he would have given the ledgers early. But he's hiding something.
He is. But Lucas goes to Gowen and says, I'll give you 24 hours. This is what I'm doing. He's been upfront with them. This is what I'm going to do. If you don't in 24 hours, I'm filing the complaint. And so then Gowen just sits there. I'm just kind of, this is silly. I just thought interesting that Lucas was like, I really want to work this out before it goes any further. Just show me the books. Show me the books. That's what he has to do. And Gowen went.
Throw him in jail.
Throw him in jail.
It's like he's already in contempt in my eyes.
Well, yeah, he's in contempt. So I think it's going to be interesting to see just kind of how that plays out. Beginning of the episode, we have to mention this because before I go into, because most of the episode was about Elizabeth and Nathan, but the beginning episode, Lucas gives Elizabeth a little gift, and not just a little gift. He gives her a nice, really leather-bound new book of Virginia Woolf's, which I looked up. They called The Voyage Out. Voyage Out came out in 1915 in the UK. It was her first novel, but it was published in the US in 1920.
Look at you, James.
I follow Marisa Serafini. I look at the background facts. I nerded out for a minute, Marisa, just for you.
Thank you. I enjoyed that.
But he gave her a nice book cover. He gave her a nice book, didn't he?
Oh yeah, but also again, it just shows he's putting serious effort in. He took the time to wait in line to get her signature. I think that's just even more effort of, it's another thing to impress Elizabeth. It's another gesture that he's doing to impress her. And I'm like, all right, Lucas, you're playing a big game here. I see it.
Yeah. For some folks, and they were commenting on our episode last week, some folks just like, they just don't trust Lucas and her together. They just don't trust his motives. Do you feel that people are right to not trust his motives?
I mean, I think they're, well, I don't want to speak for everybody, but
Right.
I think they might be basing it off of the Lucas that we saw the first season he was there, where, of course, he came in with shady intentions and questionable backgrounds, but we don't know what his actual intentions are towards Elizabeth. If they are truly genuine, I think they are. And I think that's just the way that Lucas is, swaying Elizabeth towards him, because he's wooing her with materialistic things, but also there's some questioning of like characteristics, and he challenges her with her writing style. So like there are different layers to Lucas of what he's doing with Elizabeth in this particular, I don't want to say relationship, but what he does with Elizabeth is different than what Elizabeth does with Nathan.
I also think that, we love Elizabeth. As Hardys, we're just like, that's our girl. So we're all protective of her. So I get people say, they're like, well, James, how can you be sure? But I'm like, well, I like him with her. I think he's doing an admirable job trying to woo her. I think he's putting thought into it. I love thoughtful gifts. He's not just buying her affection. He's finding really interesting things that like relate to her. I mean, doesn't anybody want that in their lives? Somebody actually pays attention to what they like and gives them what they like.
Right.
I love that.
I love it too, because he really is still putting more effort into Nathan, and we'll get to Nathan too.
Yeah.
But like, Nathan, dude, you can't just sit and wallow and not do anything and be angry at Elizabeth. And yeah, I think he's more angry at himself that he hasn't been assertive enough.
I think so too. And of course, Elizabeth brought him some cookies, brought Lucas some cookies, and that was kind of cute.
Yeah.
That's kind of good. That's good. But I thought it was very cool. So yeah, so the book came out around the time that this is set. So it's all legit. So I kind of like that whole thing. It's all legit. And I just want to mention, because before we get into the win stuff, Jesse and Clara, Jesse makes his fancy dinner of grilled cheese. I love that.
Isn't that delicious?
Oh, it looks so good.
I'll take 2 of those, thank you.
I can have cheese, and I miss it. And I'm like, oh, and Rosemary wanted grilled cheese last episode. I'm like, everybody's mentioning grilled cheese.
No, I'm lactose intolerant.
Same here.
Can't have it.
And Rosemary last time I mentioned my favorite, grilled cheese with tomato soup. I was like, that's exactly what I love on a cold day.
I'm more grilled cheese and extra cheese. That's me.
I know. I miss cheese.
Turkey and my grilled cheese. Call me crazy. No, like turkey deli. I don't know.
Ooh, that sounds good. I know.
Turkey deli meat. And
it all sounds good, Marisa. But now we're all hungry, so anyway, another story. But I just want to mention, they're mentioning grilled cheese a lot on the show. And I'm like, I love grilled cheese. I can't have it. So that sets up that he's going to have to go surveying in the woods. He's going to the woods the next day. So he's going to get up really early in the morning. He's going to survey. So there's that. The timber. He's going to measure the timber. Then back to Elizabeth. She's taking half the class on their field trip to the woods. So half's going to be taught by Mr. Carson, Dr. Carson. And then she's going to take the other half of kids and going to show them, I guess, nature. I guess that was their whole thing about nature. I couldn't really tell.
Wildlife.
Yeah.
And flowers and stuff in nature.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was like, where's she going up there for? But I guess it's all flora and fauna. So I guess that's why they were up there. She was talking about the different plants. And I like my plants and flowers. Like, oh yeah, I know what that is. Oh yeah, I know what that is. And I love that she was.
Right, and I loved how there was that moment where with the flower, and she named the exact one. I'm like, oh, I've never seen this flower ever in my entire life. Like, good on you, Elizabeth.
She knows all. Elizabeth, I said this every season. She's the best teacher. I would want her as a teacher completely. She's the best teacher.
She knows all about flowers and stuff. I was like, girl, what the?
She knows everything. She knows everything.
I worked in garden center for an entire season one time, so I got to know a lot of flowers, but I didn't see that particular flower.
Yeah, good. And she mentioned the doctor. I said that Carson, Dr. Shepard's going to be doing another half of the class before they go out. I love to me, it's a little kind of nod to oh my god, the girl's name. What's her name? Her past. Opal. I love when she said she wanted to see a bear. That was kind of cute because maybe she could have a bear, a brown bear. It's funny. And they're like, oh, you don't want to see a bear? And they're like, no, girl, you don't want to see a bear. But those kind of cute nod to her, like, you know, she likes bears. So she's probably thinking they're all cute and cuddly, and they're like,
And it's been a long time since we saw Brownie.
I know.
Way.
No.
So I think that was definitely cute. I was like, no, you definitely don't want to see bears out in the woods. That's never a good thing.
No. And Lucas gives Elizabeth some binoculars, and they were cool. They had a little case and everything. I mentioned, I noticed everything. A little case. It was really cute.
Nice binoculars.
They're very nice. Very nice binoculars.
But like even that's another thing to kind of impress Elizabeth, not only just like for her, but it was for her class, for her teaching. Like he just one little thing after another. He's doing more.
And it was funny when she had the binoculars, she put them on. Who did she see? Mr. Nathan. Yeah. Standing over there, he just kind of like looks at her, and it's like, I like those kind of funny. You like that?
I like the editing because through the gift of Lucas, she sees Nathan's disgust.
You got it. Exactly. You got it. You said it better than I could. Before she left, I love seeing little, Laura still being the babysitter and everything. Little baby Jack had Lincoln Logs. I was looking at one. Those are Lincoln Logs. I used to have those when I was a kid.
And they showed Lincoln Logs last episode too.
Yeah, I love it. I was like, I used to have those when I was a kid. I had Lincoln Logs.
As a kid, I think a lot of people had them as a kid, and they're a great Scattergories answer.
Are they really? Oh, really?
I only know because I won in December with Lincoln Logs.
That's hilarious. Really? Oh my God, that's so funny.
Scattergories answer if you ever play that game.
Okay.
I completely digress. I don't know where my mind is.
This is what we do. But I know I do like Lincoln Logs. I just thought it was kind of funny. I'm like, I had Lincoln Logs when I was a kid, so they're great toys, great building blocks and things to work with. Yeah. I used to build my cabins and stuff when I was a kid. That was very cool. Okay, so now we're gonna follow Elizabeth going out. She's going out to the woods. Beautiful landscapes out there, obviously. Some great shots, as they're heading up there. Emily finds an arrowhead, which that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is. My question to you, and this might sound terrible, was that arrowhead worth all the trouble? No, I didn't.
That's okay. So I'm gonna be honest, folks. This was the only part of the storyline I kind of thought was contrived. It's a trope that they use. The kid gets, I forgot my blank, and they go back out there. It's like, we could have found other ways to get Nathan to save them, because in a way, like Elizabeth said, she saved Emily, not Nathan. But it's kind of funny. Like, why do we need her to go? Why did she forget the arrowhead? Like, it's just like we see that a lot. It's a plot device that's used.
Yeah, I mean, like we saw what was the little girl, Maggie, who
yes.
left her toy, and Jack went down to the river and got swept away, and then had like pneumonia for a day.
Yes.
I mean, it's a common thing for kids to go back and do something, and that forces the adult to double back with them.
I know, but I'm just like, that's the only thing that for me was a little just kind of contrived. It's like, okay, but I mean, it did work in terms of, well, first before we get to that, and then of course, I got to mention, Javen is a grown man now. I was like, who's that kid? I'm like, that's Javen Nat, and he plays Robert. I'm like, it's him.
I know. I mean, I think I tweeted out. I was like, Javen just became an adult. He's a big man with big decisions now. When did that happen?
I know. I was like, wow. He played a little joke.
What?
Yeah, he grew up fast. Voice got a little deeper. I was like, okay.
One of our eyes. Who knew?
Yes. But he played a little joke in him at first, and that's kind of how Robert does. But that was kind of funny. That's what he does. Mm-hmm. But the wind is kicking up. It starts kicking up, and through first she looks through the binoculars. And you see all those big giant trees. I like it was kind of scary. It was like, okay, they get to go find something, and they find a cabin. Mm-hmm. So I was like, that's kind of convenient. I'm like, whose cabin is it? Like, what's going on in there? Like, whose cabin? We're in a cabin. Rip.
I was just saying, it's always convenient that there's a cabin.
There's always a cabin.
When Elizabeth was in labor, there was a cabin. When Bill lost the rings, he had a shootout at a cabin.
Yeah, he did. Like, there was a cabin. There. But nothing really in it, so they were safe. They were able to start a fire and stuff, but there was not really in there. But she put Robert in charge when she went back out there to look for Emily, and I thought it was, there was a little scary part when the tree fell. I was like, oh, don't fall on one of them, please. Don't hurt one of them. Don't hurt one of them. And it did. It just kind of scared them. But meanwhile, Nathan, because we have another storyline going at the same time, which we'll get to. So people are heading up to the woods. Like it's like half the town is heading to the woods, basically.
Going into the woods. Like,
we are.
Like why?
We're all going to the woods.
Why do all of them have to go into the woods? It takes like 2 or 3 people,
yes.
Not 10.
Yes. Because I thought it was interesting because originally because they're looking for Lee too and Jesse, and then we'll get to that in a second. But it was I think I wrote it down. It was Carson, Lucas, Bill, and Gowen that went together in one pack. Then we had Rosemary and Clara in another thing, and then Nathan he's like, I gotta go get her. I gotta go get his woman.
Find everybody.
Yes, well I did. So when he showed up, I started laughing. I was going, a man on a horse, her white knight on a horse. I thought it was very interesting the way he had him come in, and she sees him, but then he runs off to look for Emily and doesn't find her.
Right, and I thought that was good of Nathan also, especially how you mentioned horse. Like this episode, we get the fact that he's like toying with the idea of learning how to drive, but you couldn't take a cart into the woods. You can only take a horse. So I think it's actually good that Nathan is on his horse. He's the shining knight, on a horse. But I think it was good that Nathan was doing his job. I don't think he was really doing it for Elizabeth's affection. He was doing it because it was his job. Yeah. There's a certain line of his motivation why he was in the woods.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the car thing. I thought it was so interesting to watch a TV show where a grown man is like, I want to learn how to drive. I guess I just nice to see that on television. So it's interesting to hear that because back then the cars were still new. So you have these grown men who don't know how to drive a car. And he was asking Lee, like, how do you know how to drive? And, and Lee goes, I used to have it. My father had a stick. I was like, oh, I got a stick. I got those old big cars, I'm sure. And
sticks are hard. Have you ever driven a stick?
I've tried. I never mastered it. All my cars were automatics. I never had
it. For an hour, I'm like, never again.
Yeah. It was hard. I tried once and I just couldn't put your foot this way and this, and I couldn't, my coordination was off.
Right. Well, I'm from the country, so a lot of our cars are actually sticks, surprisingly so.
Wow.
I'm like, nah, I'm good with automatic.
I was good when I went to San Francisco because a lot of hills, they said it would kill a lot of cars who had stick. Because the hills, there's so many hills in San Francisco, stopping on sometimes you had to stop like this on the hill. You're like, okay. And it's like, put this in, dude. I'm like, there's too much going on. So there's enough going on when you had automatic, but then stick in there,
it's a coordination and timing kind of skill. It's all hands-on kind of skill.
Yeah.
But if you do it and get good at it, then you'll like never lose that skill.
Yeah. But I thought it was interesting just hearing a grown man go, how do we drive? How do I drive? It's just interesting for me, just psychologically. It's like, oh yeah, this is that time period cars were still new and everybody knows how to drive. So, but you're right. You couldn't go up there in a car. It just wouldn't work at all. But then we get them where everybody's safe. And now and then the kids the wind dies down, whatever, and the kids go outside. Now we have Nathan and Elizabeth alone. Mm-hmm. And I was waiting for it. I was like, okay, folks, let's get to it. And she doesn't disappoint. She asked, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
Stop being all broody. Just talk. Like a real man could talk his feelings. And I think, like I was saying before, it's misplaced anger.
Yeah. He went off on her.
He did. And I'm like, dude, you're doing it. And, first of all, it's your job. And second of all, don't be mad at her because you haven't put in enough effort and you haven't taken the initiative to actually take Elizabeth out and do stuff for her. Lucas has. What have you done? You haven't. Look in the mirror, dude.
What have you done for me lately? Well, Janet Jackson reference. No, but it's funny because I saw her. It was because Erin's face, because she's acting against it. I mean, she kind of jumped like, oh, he's like he's going off on me. And her character I thought was kind of interesting, and her face was like, oh, okay. She's like, never mind. At first she's like, never mind. Don't tell me what you. I mean, but he just kind of went off on her and was like, and everybody started quoting the whole thing where he said, I could have lost you both. Because he was talking about his niece and with her that he was so angry, but not really. I think I agree. It wasn't so much about the woods, but he was angry at her but this also scared him too, because he's like, you know, you went out here without any supervision and blah blah. And
Right.
but I mean, who knew the woods are going to be, you know, the wind's going to happen. I mean, who knew?
Wind. Come on.
It's wind. I know it's
I
wind.
love how they had the line. They're like, Chicago's not as bad as what we saw. I was like, you have not been in Chicago in the winter. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I have, so I know. Oh, I know. Ugh.
I walked it at 5 a.m. every other day. So, I mean, like, please, you can't knock Chicago because you haven't spent enough time in Chicago to know what the wind is really like.
I agree.
As bad as it was on the woods.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. But when they said that, I was like, oh, they're trying to make a comparison. I'm like, it still is the windy city. It still is the windy city.
I highly doubt any into Chicago.
Yeah. And so they get into it a little bit, and nothing's really resolved. It's just kind of like, okay, it's just kind of, you know, she's seeing how angry he is. And I think a woman's intuition knows he's mad about her and Lucas. I think she gets it.
For sure.
Probably, she wanted to hear him say it, probably.
It's jealousy coming out as frustration.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah. Completely. And then, okay, so then back at the ranch, actually the school, we have, and so it's kind of cute. So we had that heavy kind of moment. Then the light moment was with Carson teaching them the heart and how bored they were.
I love this.
It was so much fun. It was funny. The kids were hilarious. So like, and now I get to do math. There's 4 parts of the argument. I got to do math too. Like, it was just, they were so bored by him talking about the heart.
You know what's actually funny, and I was wondering why Timmy was so resistant to it. And I'm just thinking, like, Timmy's a musician. He's more on the creative side, so it would totally make sense that he'd be the one to be opposing math and science. And I'm not saying like all creative people are like that, because I actually love science.
I like science.
But I'm also very creative too. But I hate math.
Same here.
I understand Timmy's frustration, like, oh, we have to do math. So I was just thinking, it was like, Timmy's more of the creative person, so it makes sense that he'd be pushing back on the math.
I agree with that. But I thought the part that was cool and that he would like, because it's kind of cool to a kid, he brought the stethoscope later. And to him was like, do you want to hear your heartbeat? Yeah. And that's what made it cool all of a sudden. And I love at the end when he kind of said to him, oh, that was kind of cool. That was kind of fun. You know, and Carson smiled. It was like, okay.
Yeah, he still got to him. And I think, you know, Carson, he's not a teacher, but he does have a way to teach.
Yes.
And I liked how he changed his methods a bit to help Timmy out with a way that he wasn't enjoying it in a way that he could enjoy. And I think that's good on Carson to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
I loved his drawing, his perfect heart.
Oh, it was good. It was a good drawing. It was good. I used to be a nurse, so I like that kind of stuff.
I know. I would have been one of those nerdy students. I was like, tell me more about the ventricles.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's good. It's good information. I love it. Information. Now, one thing I think is very interesting. Now we're going to the storyline that is the storyline. It kind of an ending that I didn't see coming clearly because it was leading another direction. So Jesse's in the woods. So apparently he's missing. He goes off to the woods to do the timber readings and surveying. We don't hear nobody. Everybody's finding out he's missing. He didn't call. He didn't come back in time. He didn't do this. All this stuff was happening. What?
There were no cell phones back then.
No cell phones. Can't call. And there's homegirl Flo who's like comes into the dress shops like, do you know what happened? Like, and you see Clara, who just like seconds earlier told Rosemary she wants a kid, basically. Mm-hmm. She wants a baby. She's like, I want to make little dress. I know how to make little dresses, and that kind of like leads to she wants to have a baby. And poor Rosemary at the end was kind of like, hey, exactly. I was like, oh, but you see, they're setting all this stuff up. And it's like, so the ladies learn that they're men because Lee went up to go after him. So now they're both like, everybody's missing. So now the ladies decide, Clara's like, I'm going to go up there myself. But then Rosemary's like, I'll move over, I'll drive, and I'll do it. So they go together, 2 women on the horse and carriage.
All in this together, yeah.
All together. And so we don't know where Jesse is. He's up there somewhere. Don't know where Lee is. Everybody goes to look for them.
All the men that we know in the cast member.
Yeah, just about, right?
Went to the woods.
Went to the woods. But then they're all reunited. So at first, it's like, oh, and you see Clara, the way they shot it was interesting. You see Clara sees Jesse, and it's like, oh, okay. And everybody's kind of standing there. Then so we're like, okay, we're good. And she's hugging. I'm so glad you're here. Oh my goodness, blah, blah. And like, I was like, well, where, Lee, like, what's going on? Did not see that coming at all. And I was like, no! I screamed at the TV. I was like, no, you better not mess with my Lee. You cannot mess with them.
I think that was good because all the focus was on Jesse for so long that we didn't even think that anything could happen to Lee.
No, not at all. It was crazy. And so apparently a tree fell. We found out afterwards a tree fell. And I guess he hit his head. And head injuries are not good, folks. Head injuries are not good.
Unfortunate thing, we also didn't see this so-called tree fall. Yep. So we don't know how dangerous and like to the extent of this head injury is. Because I mean, I'm gonna take it back a little bit.
Okay.
We all felt for Jack when he fell into the river and got swept away. We visually saw all the trauma physically happen to him. And then, we had the whole emotional roller coaster ride of like, is he gonna live and all that. So we had a 40-minute emotional roller coaster. With Lee, we haven't had that yet. We didn't see the tree fall on him, so we don't know like, oh wait, it's a shock. But we haven't been through the visual trauma of what really happened yet. So telling us is one thing, showing it to us is a whole nother thing.
I agree.
We didn't see it yet. So that's why I'm like still hesitant. I'm like, this is when calls the heart. They're not going to take Lee away. But also, I was also screaming at the screen. I was like, no, not Lee. You can't kill Lee, too. I was like, not Rosemary, because I also had a moment. I'm like, Rosemary's like the only woman in the town that's not a widow.
Yes.
I was like, don't do that to Rosemary.
I know. That's what I was like, You got it, folks. You got it.
That moment, I'm like, Rosemary's not a widow. You can't make her a widow. You can't. You just can't.
Better not. That's all I gotta say. Better not. And so they cut you back to the town. So that's basically towards the end. All things are back at the town, and he had a heartbeat. It was very faint. He hit his head, and so the town is outside, kind of being there for him, waiting to hear what happens. Jesse feels terrible, of course. He feels like it's his fault. But I love that when Elizabeth came in and Carson's on one side, Rosemary's on the other, she's talking in just hushed tone, very just kind of being stoic, and tells Elizabeth, go out and talk to Jesse. He feels bad. I'll be okay in here. Like, just go talk to him. Elizabeth does what she's asked. And talks to him. But I have to say, the scene that got me teary-eyed was when it's just her, Carson, and a knocked out Lee, and she just talks to him plainly, like, come on, what's the possibility? And then you got to do everything you can.
Yeah.
I got teary-eyed. I was like, oh, I mean, Pascal Hutton did such an amazing job at that scene. Just amazing job. Because she can go from being outrageously funny to that in an episode, just like.
Yeah, very serious. I mean, because we know how much they are in love. And we know that you can't do anything to Lee. We need the good guys in the show. You can't keep killing off all the good ones. So, honestly, I mean, this might get into prediction territory. I don't think it's going to be as bad as I think it's going to be. But it's not fair to put Rosemary through such an emotional roller coaster ride. That's not fun.
I agree.
It is fun to watch. It's good drama.
It's good drama, and just again gives her a showcase. But again, it was just like she was so, as an actress, she was so good, in that scene, because it was not funny. It was nothing funny about it, and she didn't get overly like emotional. Like, she didn't start sobbing, but she was just like very direct and just like, you're gonna do everything you can within your medical powers to bring my Lee back to me. Basically, is what she was basically saying to him.
Yeah, I also kind of felt it was reminiscent of when Abigail went to Carson, like, you saved my boy.
Yes.
When Cody was having his appendicitis.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt like very reminiscent of that emotional moment. Like, do everything you medically possibly can.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be my man.
That's right. I agree. And I was like, but I just was like, and like, that's how it's ending. So now we're going to predictions, because when they showed the clips for next week, it was a much upbeat tone than it was. This is maybe you're right, I guess.
We didn't see really, no, I'm trying to remember. We didn't really see any Rosemary Lee resolution, what's going
Nope.
on. So we don't know. Maybe he woke up and now they're going on the cruise.
Oh, okay, maybe. Or maybe there's no change. Maybe he's still just, and they don't.
And also, this doesn't feel like a finale.
No.
If it was like as big as it is, or like this situation could be as big as it traumatically could be, they would save it for a cliff hangover.
I thought so too, right?
I'll have 2 more episodes, so I feel like this might get resolved really quickly.
Okay, I can go with that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised with it.
At least I'd hope so. It'd be.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, but he's one of the good guys. Don't be messing with Lee. Don't be messing with no Lee. I was just like, no. So what do you think are some of your predictions? Are you sticking to some of the stuff you said last week? Are you still kind of sticking to some of the stuff?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's good that I think we saw it in the preview, but Elizabeth's gonna put Nathan in his place. Like, yo, Lucas asked me out. I said yes.
Okay.
Come on, dude. Like, I mean, you can't be mad at me because you haven't. So I think that's going to be enough motivation for Nathan to, like, really get his wheels turning. Like, if I really want Elizabeth, I'm going to start putting things into play. So I think Nathan's going to get the ball rolling in that. And I think Lee's going to be okay. He's going to make a recovery. They're going to go on their cruise, and then going to come back, and Rosemary's going to be pregnant. And that could be the end.
Oh, okay.
Happy cliff hangover that we all need. Yeah.
So you predict we should have a happy cliffhanger this year?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
We had some rough years here, so yeah, we need a happy one.
What big traumatic things can happen now? I mean, we've had a lot of deaths, a lot of actor partings from the show. I think we need a happy cliff. You know.
Okay, I kind of like that. Okay, I still think Gowen's gonna have a Gowen though. I think in the end, but luckily he's not like. I mean, he's half liked, or so to speak. So he's not. So something happens to him, something kind of goes down with him, it won't, it'll be interesting.
Throw him in jail for contempt, and then he has his heart attack, and then all of the details come out about what he's been doing, and then he dies.
That'd be interesting. She said it. That's her prediction. She said it. I'm like, I don't know.
I mean, no offense to Martin Cummings.
No, he's good. He's so good at it. Yeah.
I'd be, if that was a death, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be interesting. I think that's. And also, I also see from the previews, I think Elizabeth's getting closer to her being a published author. I think she's getting closer.
Getting closer. Yeah, because Lucas is giving her manuscript to all the right people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think eventually she'll be a published author eventually. Anyway, I think that's where they're leading anyway. Mm-hmm. Teacher, author, pillar of the community. I just have a feeling that's gonna.
If that happens, that also requires. Now I'm going into like next season predictions. Yeah. That also would require maybe like a book deal. Elizabeth traveling. Elizabeth has to leave her kids, her students for a while if she has to promote her book. It could be a lot of different things, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, we're not there yet. Have they approved season 8 yet? Do we know if there's one? I can't remember. I don't think so. What? Season 8? I mean, season 8. Do we know if there's one yet? I don't think we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's not officially been declared.
Yeah, officially. I can't believe it's 7 seasons of this. So this show is good. It's moving right along, folks. 7 seasons. It really is. Yeah. And that's our recap, folks. That's 45 minutes. That's our recap, girl. We did it again. We're back, you guys. We did it, and chances are we'll probably do another one. Just keep watching us. And we'll be doing more of these. But I'm so glad we get to do this. What?
I'm not going anywhere for a while.
Yeah, we're gonna be. I mean, we got 2 episodes left. I think she and I both will still be at home, like the rest of you guys, for the next 2 weeks. Yep. So chances are we'll be doing them both, and that'll be that. I'm sorry it's so late in the season, but we just kind of had to work together.
Figuring things out.
Yes, and folks, I did honor a whiteboard. I'll post pictures of this and stuff on there. It's not the same as hers, but it's just an honor of her. I need a big one right behind me, and she's to write on it. Or one behind her, and she's to write on it or something.
Yeah, with a bunch of exclamation points and arrows and all that.
You saw me do all the time. I love that. Oh,
serious board.
But,
I miss it.
so,
It's just in my mind.
I'm like, oh, I love it. So Marisa, tell folks where they can find you on social media.
Everyone can follow me at Serafini TV.
That's right. And you can find me where all James Lott Jr.'s are sold, at James Lott Jr. and all social media platforms. And so we actually there's an audio version of this that I put out. So it's on my JLJ Media page. On YouTube is the video version, which you guys have been there. Please continue to subscribe to my channel. But you guys have been great subscribing to my channel. I love all the Hardys there. Watch past episodes. When we did it AfterBuzz TV, they're all there. Some of you guys I know are catching up on older seasons or rewatching them. Watch our after shows at the same time and see what we thought at the time. The ones with us, the ones with Maria Provenzano, all those. We watch those. I have them all listed by playlist by season. So you just go on my channel, you can see all of that. It's all on there. And then also I have the audio version of this. It's on Spreaker.com, I think right now, and iTunes. I'm trying to get on everything. So if you want to listen to us, hello podcast listener, you can listen to us and do it from there. Because I know some of you guys like to have that option also. So we appreciate you guys. We love the Hardys. We love you guys. And we hope everybody stays safe and sane, right, Marisa?
Yeah, everyone stay safe, stay home when you can. And, keep watching Run Close to Heart. Keep tweeting at all the powers that be for us to get another season.
We want another season, folks. We want another
season. We already know what to do.
Yeah.
But
I have a feeling we get another season. I have a feeling we get another season.
Yeah.
The show's a hit. It's good. It's going to be another season. Definitely.
Yeah.
I'll put that energy out there.
It's their hallmark of a show. Ding.
Ding.
So they're not going to get rid of it anytime soon.
No, I'm excited either. But everybody, bye, Hardys. We love you.